So I'm having a conversation with a friend, and I actually want to share part of our conversation here with you. So we're talking about vision, and we're talking about really knowing when to go for the big 10x vision. 10x is easier than 2x, and when to snap yourselves back into reality. And she was telling me about having this vision of buying this dream home and having an idea of what it looks like, having an idea of the price point, having an idea of all these different aspects of it. And then this other part of her mind that is wanting to snap her back into reality and say, yeah, but right now this is what is actually doable. This is what's actually currently financially, logistically, strategically possible for me. And I love this question and this conversation so much because something that's so important is, especially as an entrepreneur, is being able to do both. Being able to hold the big vision that you have, because I know so many of you have dreams of building not just one retreat center, but multiple around the world. So many of you have huge visions of not just creating one charity or one scholarship fund or one thing like that, but creating multiple, creating a whole franchise of them, like around the world. So many of you have really, really big visions that no matter what are going to take more than just you. It's going to take more than just one person. It's going to take more than just one team. There's going to be multiple teams of teams in order to create that dream that you're wanting to create. And this is really I think one of the biggest skills that entrepreneurs have to cultivate is being able to hold both. Of like, okay, I'm creating the massive vision. I'm creating the true 10x vision. And what does that require me? Not even what. Who does that require me to be today? So when I'm talking with this friend about the $1.2 million home vision versus the $450,000 home that feels more realistic right now, it isn't that one is right and one is wrong. And I also think even the 1.2 million isn't 10x. It's still 2x. It's literally 2 times the amount of the other one. Like just a little over 2 times, right? And what I think is so powerful is really allowing ourselves to be pulled by the bigger vision and challenging ourselves every single day to be more of who that actual 10x version is today. Because the 2x version of us can continue to come up with excuses every single day of why we aren't where we want to be yet, of why we can't do what we want to do yet, of why things didn't work out how we planned yet. And when we're looking at things that way, that creates a very predictable, reliable, typical corporate America, for whatever reason comes to mind, trajectory of like, this plus this equals this. When you do this, then this will be the result. And when you're not living by that, when you're living by, okay, this big crazy vision that I have of building multiple retreat centers, of having a business that turns into a global franchise, when that's the thing that's pulling you, and that's the thing that you're calibrating your identity to being every single day, you start taking different actions every day. You start having different conversations with different people every day. You start getting yourself in different rooms every day. And that is when you start creating very unpredictable results. Results that are illogical and don't make sense to most people. Whether that means that you go from 0 to $1 million in a really short amount of time, or if it means that you create a business that looks absolutely nothing like anyone else's business, that works even better and more efficiently than anyone else's. That's not predictable. You can't plan for that. And I think that's a big place where people tend to lose a lot of magic in their lives is, and I speak for myself too, like I definitely do this and still, where we try to control everything and we try to make everything predictable, but really it was never meant to be predictable. We're meant to stay open to the magic and open to the miracles and remember that the universe is always responding to us. And so how we're being, how we are acting, how we're talking to ourselves and everyone around us today and tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that, because we can't change the past, but we can change tomorrow, that's what actually adds up to our results. And that's what actually magnetizes the big, crazy, unpredictable, impossible dream to us. Because it's not supposed to be about hustling and pushing and forcing it to get there. It's supposed to be about having a good-ass time on the way. There's so much that I want to say around this. So it's not about focusing on the big vision or the small vision. It's not about settling for one thing or another. It's about loosening the chokehold on how it feels, how that big dream, that big vision feels, and loosening the grip on how it can come to be. Something that really, I feel, shaped the last 5 years of my life was in, I think it was the very beginning, it was the very beginning of COVID in 2020. I think it was literally like a week or two into it. We decided not to buy the house that we had previously been renting. They offered it to us first because we were renting it. It was brand new, remodeled. I don't regret many things. I regret not buying that house. It was a fucking steal, and we had no idea that we lived in Boise at the time, and it was in like a prime area in Boise, a beautiful house that was just remodeled. I think it was like $250,000 or something. We're like, we don't want to live here, so we're not gonna buy it. And it would have been a phenomenal rental property the last 5 years. Like, as Boise exploded, it literally doubled in what it was worth in like a year or two after COVID. But because we decided not to move in there, we were looking at homes. And our rent at that time, I think had been like $1,200 a month. And that seemed enormous when we first moved in there. But by the end of it, we grew into it. So we're looking for a new place. And the last two places that we looked at were fucking gorgeous. Both of them were 2-story homes. Both of them had big yards. Both of them had lots of nature. Both of them had gorgeous, literal, like, mansion vibes kitchens, hot tubs, bathtubs. It felt like a freaking pool. Just, like, absolutely gorgeous. And I think they were about 2,400 square feet, something like that. And it was just me and my husband. We didn't even have pets then. And one of them was so, like, open on the inside, it actually felt like it was too big for us. The other one still felt really big, but it didn't feel like it was too big. And I remember we couldn't actually go to that house and tour it. We had to just go off of the pictures online. And so the day that we moved in actually was the first day we got to go see it. And the property managers are there. They're walking us around. And they're like, internally I can tell that they're thinking, like, what the fuck are these, like, 24-year-old kids doing renting this $500,000 house? Like, did these kids rob a bank? Like, are they just, like, rich kids that have rich parents who are paying for this house? Like, what the hell is going on here? And that house stretched us. I think the rent there was like $2,400 or $2,500 a month. That felt insane and astronomical and just like, holy shit, what are we doing? And if we had been tied at that time, if we had been tied to buying a house, which we weren't because we were fresh off of being nomads and wanted to have the freedom to get back to that life if we wanted to. But if we had been tied to that, we never would have rented a $500,000 house for a year. I think it was like almost $600,000. And of course, it's way more than that now. But because we weren't in a chokehold about how we wanted that house to be, how we wanted to receive the house, we were able to receive that place and live there for a year and enjoy it and then move on and go somewhere else. And we've lived in multiple houses like that now. When we moved to Asheville, we had another crazy, amazing house that was on a well and in a place that the first thing that everyone would say to us when we said that we decided to move here was it's really hard to find a place and they're really expensive. And did I ever believe a single fucking word of that? No, I did not. I said, okay, I'll figure it out. I will be the exception to that rule. That will not be my story. Thank you very much. Thank you, not at all. I held my vision of I'm going to have a house that feels like that house was called, we called it the Roanoke house. That was the road it was on. The Roanoke house. We called it our drug dealer house. And I was like, the house that we get here is going to feel like that. And what did we get? We got a house. I believe the rent was either $3,400 or $3,500 a month. Again, fucking felt astronomical when we first moved in. We grew into it. The house is on a well. The house was 5 minutes from downtown, which is unheard of. It was really quiet and peaceful. We had a garden. We had a hot tub that was ozonated instead of chlorinated. The owners owned another property right up the road that had a fully ozonated pool that we got to use in the summers. It had a huge, gorgeous chef's kitchen. The guy who renovated it and owned it is literally a pastry chef. And not just any kind of pastry chef. They did gluten-free baking. Like, we had a wood fireplace. The whole place was furnished. Something else that's always really helped me out is tapping into, like I said, it's really about the feeling of what it is that you're wanting to create more than the specific thing itself. But something that really helped me was always tuning into when I wanted something. I actually did this earlier today. Tuning into the feeling of the thing that I want and then asking the universe to show me something to help me recognize that place. Something to help me recognize that home. And one of the first things that I noticed with that was that I kept seeing a really specific shade of blue. It was like a teal turquoise-ish color, really light blue. And man, interesting, my throat. This was back in like 2019, the first time I noticed this. Again, I did exactly what I just told you. I felt the feeling of the place that I wanted to live in. I asked for a sign, and I let it go. I wasn't expecting the sign immediately. I was just kind of like, okay, this is what I want to feel. I'm open. And then I noticed over the next few days and weeks, I kept on seeing this really specific shade of blue. And I really didn't even, pay it much note. I was just kind of like, it's interesting that I keep on, in my mind, visually seeing this color. And it's not, tied to anything specific. It's just this color. And luckily, I had told my then boyfriend, now husband, about it. And when we went and looked at this one place, the place that they offered for us to buy it, the front door was that color. And when we pulled up, I looked at my husband, and I was like, hey, the door. Actually, I think he said it. I think he was like, hey, isn't that the color that you keep on saying lately? I'm like, yeah, it is. That's interesting. We were the first people to see the house, the first ones to apply, and we got it. And I've really used that every time. I've asked for a sign, I see it, I know that that's it. And for us, that's the other thing, is that if we're the first people to see it and first people to apply, we always get the home. Obviously, this time, we bought a house instead of renting it, so that was a little different. But I'm already feeling into what's next. This was our first experience buying a home that we were actually moving into and living in. And now, I'm open to what's next. Maybe we'll be building it, maybe we'll be buying it, maybe it'll come to us some other way, maybe we'll be renting it, I don't know. But I'm open. Something I really encourage you to do is reflect back on the biggest manifestations of your life and notice what preceded them. What came before that? And start to really notice and look for the patterns. What was happening in your mind, in your internal state, around you? What was happening in order for those things to show up in your life? And once they did you notice that it was actually pretty easy, or did you have to force and shove and contrive and control every single little tiny piece in order to make it happen? Because I guarantee that every time that it worked out and it felt amazing and miraculous and like, holy shit, this feels so good, that you weren't controlling it. That you were being open. You were being receptive. And this is something that a majority of modern society is trained is unsafe. Whether you're a mom, whether you're... my husband's telling me to come inside and eat. I'm sitting in my car after a silk class recording this, but whether you're a mom and so you're constantly busy leading your kids, whether you're a business owner, so you're constantly leading people in that way and more in your masculine, whether you're just having normal everyday conversations with other people, typically we're expected to be more in our masculine. Let the process of creating your vision be more feminine. Let yourself be more receptive in that state. Let yourself stay open to it. There's still so much more I could say, but I think this is more than enough for today. So if you are tuning into this episode, I would love to hear what your vision is over on Instagram. Please share this episode if it was supportive for you. This is really the absolute best way to just get this message, The Vibrant Alchemist, out to more people. My programs, my offers, my inbox, they're always open. So if you have questions about anything, just reach out. And I really do want to hear your vision. So send me a message on Instagram. I want to hear it.